Welcome to the Health Hour of the Home and Health Show here on WMUZ 1035 The Light. This morning, Mac welcomes Julie Lamphere and Dave Sanders from Brain Life Center. With special guests Rene and her son Tyler. We'll hear their amazing story of trauma and recovery and how Brain Life technology helped them put their lives back together after a devastating event. You'll also learn how this same technology can give you and your family a tremendous advantage in life. Now, here's your host, Mike McIntyre.
WMUZ, good morning. It's the Home and Health Show. Thank you for being here. I'm Mac, your host. We have what I hope is going to be an informative, educational, and fun show today as Brain Life Center joins us in the studio. David and Julie, the dynamic duo, the brother and sister team from Brain Life Center are here. Hi, guys. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, Mac.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here this morning. I appreciate it. You've got some guests with you today. Why don't you introduce who they are?
We are so excited to have Rene and Tyler here. Their story is just beautiful and inspiring, and we're so thankful to them for being willing to share it today.
So the three of them, Rene and her two kids, her two adult children, went through this, and I'm kind of curious, how did you first hear about us, and what brought you here, Rene? Both of you, kind of share when you heard about this and what brought you to us.
Well, I am also a hospice chaplain, so I have to drive a lot, and I kept hearing it advertised, and I don't know why it kept taking me. Right? Oh yes, WMUZ. Oh, yeah. But I kept hearing it over and over again, and it was processing through me that I really needed to call, but for some reason I didn't, and I kept not calling, and then I finally worked it up, and I said something to the kids, and I said, you know what, I've called them. By the time I told them, I had already done it, but all I did at that point was I just called in and got our information in. And then it was another month or two before I actually actioned that even. But that was how that started. It took a long time for me to hear it, and I don't know why. And it shouldn't have taken that long because I wish I'd have done it sooner.
So when you called in, you scheduled 2 assessments, one for your son and one for your daughter, right?
Actually, I did an assessment for all 3 of us.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, Tyler, how did you feel when you first heard about us? What were your thoughts? Kind of where were you at that time?
At that point in time, I had just graduated high school, and originally I was not even supposed to pass the 6th grade. So for a while, graduating high school was my main focus. And after I graduated high school, I had no focus and no real passion. I had come to the point where I was a man, I was 18, but I was still functioning as a child. And I had been praying to God for a solution, for an answer, for a way out of this. And when my mom told me about Brain Life Center, I felt God saying, yes, this is the answer to all the stuff that you've been asking me for, Tyler.
So share a little bit about what you went through leading up to that. What caused a lot of these struggles that you were dealing with?
Well, it all came from an accident that I was in when we were T-boned by a semi-truck. And I was in a coma for several days, and I had suffered a couple of concussions and a traumatic brain injury. A lot of my life, I had grown very antisocial in, as many brain injury that's very typical of them. And I relied on God to get me through high school, but I had suffered significant focus issues. I could never focus on one thing. Whenever there were 2 things that I knew I needed to do, I could not choose on either one, so I picked neither. And I decided to just walk through the house and do nothing, and no one feels good about doing nothing, especially when you know you need to be doing something. Yeah.
So let me hear a little bit about, because I know this was a big deal. This happened about 10 years ago, and it was all 3 of you got in this pretty serious car accident. Rene, tell us a little bit about how this went down from a mom's perspective.
Well, it was back in 2009 that Katana and Tyler and I left to we were in Tennessee. My husband is military, so we had just moved down there, but it was just before Christmas. So we left to come back home for family event. I have quite a large family, so it was a big deal to come back for that. So it was Katana, Tyler, and myself. And Katana was 11 at the time. Tyler was 10. And we were T-boned by a speeding semi on 75 North, just outside of Monroe. And sorry, this gets a little difficult sometimes, but
We really appreciate it.
when the semi stopped moving, we were pushed down the expressway, and when the semi stopped moving, the grill of the semi was inside the van next to me where my children had just been. So we sustained quite a blow with that. All three of us sustained brain injuries along with other injuries. And we've had a decade-long journey of trying to heal, and we've tried many different things, and some of those things have worked, and some of them haven't. We have had the diagnosis we had for all three of us was pretty bleak, as Tyler mentioned. His learning centers were completely blown, so he was not supposed to pass the 6th grade level. He couldn't learn anymore, but I insisted that nobody tell him that. So along this journey, we've had successes, and we've even had miracles happen. But still, even coming to this point, just him graduating high school was a miracle. But here we are still at this point. We're 9 years into this thing, and the lifeblood that all of us have put into this, and me as a mom, giving up anything I could to cause my kids to be able to be successful, and then having them be at this point where, as he already mentioned, that he'd walk around the house in a daze. The simplest task, it was hard for him to do. So, I mean, if you're getting one task done a day and that's what you're calling good, how are either one supposed to ever go to school or raise a family, have a skill? How is that ever supposed to happen for them? And so that's where we were at.
Tyler, tell me a little bit about you. I mean, I'm looking over at you here. You kind of look like somebody that would be my son. You got yourself a fedora hat on. You got a little young Johnny Depp look going on here. You're amazingly articulate on the radio for never have done this before. You just pretty much put yourself in a position to maybe think about being a broadcaster for a living. Tell me a little bit about, as you were going through the process of what you were dealing with at Brain Life, as you were going through the process, what else? 'Cause I'm sure you didn't walk in the first time and it was over and everything was great.
Right.
Talk about some of the things that you were dealing with as you were going through the program.
Well, first off, thank you for all of those compliments.
Listen to those pipes, man.
I like looking like Johnny Depp.
You really do.
Well, I would state that during the program, before the program was even over, I was able to fix my sleep pattern. I was able to fix my sleep pattern before it was over. Normally, I would take 2 or 3 hours lying in bed before my brain allowed itself to fall asleep, because I had way too many ideas and I couldn't stop thinking. And it goes back to not having the focus. I could not focus on anything.
Were they rambling thoughts? Were they thoughts about your future? Were they stream of conscious thoughts, or was it just?
It was all.
Was it depression thoughts? Was it why did this happen to me thoughts, or what was going on?
Everything in the book that could generate energy for my brain, because my brain wanted to stay up. My body was insanely tired, but my brain just would not let up. It would not let go.
Wow.
So then, throughout the Brain Life program, I gained a sense of control over my brain, or a control over my focus, so that I had a responsibility, especially now that I'm in college. I couldn't go to college and stay up 3 hours. I mean, hello, I have class at 8:55 in the morning, and there are things I have to do before class. So I needed to have that responsibility component in place to be able to tell myself, you have a duty to go to sleep at the right time. Mm-hmm. And in terms of the process, it was very peaceful in there. It wasn't it wasn't annoying to hear these sounds over and over again. They were very beautiful sounds.
The abstract noises in the headphones.
Yeah, soothing. That's the word. Yeah. It was all very soothing.
How long did it take before you actually could confidently say, okay, my body's tired, I know I can go to sleep, and I don't have to like lay there and roll around and think about what I'm going to do 4 years from now when I'm a senior, or when I'm going to buy my first house, and what wife I'm going to marry, and should I be a drummer, and should I really try to be a stand-up in the next Johnny Depp movie?
Well, it's also about the prioritization of your goals. I like to think about all of those things, and a part of what was given to me was realizing that I can think about all those things, but I can think about them before I go to bed, or a different time. The bed is not the time for that. It's the time for sleeping. Right. It's the time for getting your energy.
There's a lot of people out there right now that are going, wait a minute, that's the time I get the most thinking in. I love to go to bed at 11 and lay there till 4 in the morning and get up at 5 and go to work. There's nothing better than that.
Yeah.
I mean that very sarcastically, by the way.
Sleep deprivation is not a good habit in my personal experience.
Did you mention that you play drums?
Yeah.
Did I hear you say that? Is this something that you began before or after your accident?
Before.
How was it picking up the rhythm after the accident? Did you have to retrain rhythmic sense?
Well, I trained myself with this game called Rock Band.
I know it well.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, I had played the game, and just before the accident, I had beaten the song Painkiller, which is supposed to be like the hardest song in the game, and I beat it on expert. After the accident, I lost all of my ability.
Wow.
All of it.
So every sense of rhythm, your timing, everything out the door.
Everything was gone.
Wow.
The only thing that was left was my love for it. I just knew that I couldn't do it anymore.
So in your heart, you were aware that... So you didn't lose the ability to say to yourself, "Oh, I didn't even know I played drums." You knew you played,
precisely.
But your body was saying, "Not on this day, son."
Yeah, my brain and my body were no longer
What
connected.
did that do to you psychologically in terms of how you had to deal with that, or was your trauma so traumatic that you were just like drums were secondary to the thought of re-healing?
The thing was, it did not take me long to regain that strength because I felt determined because of how it was fun to learn how to play the drums. And the way I saw it was, I just get to do it again.
Yeah.
I get to learn how to do all this stuff again.
I love this.
So I'm curious to hear with your big smile, Rene. I share a little bit from a mom's perspective of what it's been like to watch this kind of transformation with Tyler and your daughter.
Well, and I think the drums maybe is such a great example. It's happened in more than one area, but it was devastating with both of them in different areas to watch something they had in such abundance prior to the accident be in such despair.
Is your daughter a drummer also?
No, with her, it wouldn't be drumming. It would, be something else that, in particular, she just loves people and would be just so in with anybody and everybody, and it just would not matter. And then through the accident, she ended up with facial scarring and
became antisocial, withdrawn.
Well, and she would try, and there was bullying, and there was just such difficult stuff. And then watching how this whole thing unraveled, where they emerged, and her going through middle school with what we called the 3-second memory, because you'd say something, she'd turn around, it would be gone, and watching her challenges, but then what God did in her to cause her, she ended up graduating 4th in her class, which is, nobody understands how that was possible to have happen. But high school is also different than college, and now when you're responsible for all of it yourself, that that's where it starts to break down. But with Tyler in the drums, as that began to come back around, he actually became more savant-like.
Wow.
With because I think maybe because of losing it, and now it coming back, and the way that the
Taylor
injury
Hawkins
was
in the house. Let's go.
Yeah.
I think there was a part of it that I didn't actually lose after I got into the accident. It was only it was only after I had relearned the drums that the original skill had returned.
Did you reteach yourself, or did you have to go back and get instruction?
I retaught myself entirely.
So did you start on the hi-hat, learning the 4 on the floor beat? Did you start from the basic?
Yeah, I started back from Rock Band, I think. It's
you went back.
game.
You went back to the instruction, and then the rhythm came back in your head.
I knew that's what taught me the first time,
Wow.
so chances are that would teach me again.
Julie, thank you, first of all, for bringing these folks in. This has been a great conversation.
They are a blessing.
How long was the process with these two? Before we go back and talk to Tyler and Rene, how long were they with you guys?
About 5 weeks, I want to say.
That's it?
Each.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
About 5 weeks.
And we don't want to forget about Tyler's sister either. What was her name?
I don't want to say it wrong. Katana.
Katana.
Yes.
Yeah. So Katana's been through the process. She's not with us right now. She too is a college student, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So talk a little bit about what you were seeing as the process was going on. How were you starting to see things go uphill for Tyler and for his family?
Well, of course, we brought them here to tell that story, and I wish everybody could hear our conversations before we came in, today and forward. But so tell the audience a little bit. You had brain injury before the truck accident, so now that there were symptoms even during that time, right? So what kind of symptoms did you experience during that? And then what symptoms were you seeing after the truck accident? And then I'd like you to share what happened from the training at the Brain Life Center.
Well, it is hard for me to say from the first accident what the symptoms were specifically, because I was only a couple months old, so I don't know.
All right.
But now, having gone through it, and I'll say that in a minute, that there are things now that I'm noticing that are being cleared up that have been lifelong. So that's just tremendous to me. But what we had from the point of the accident, I had incredible racing thoughts. Had the same issue. All three of us had the same issue with trying to sleep, and it was a series of, you had to really exhaust yourself. So you had to stay up long enough that you were exhausted, and basically you were going to sleep already. You were going back to bed already half asleep, and if you didn't do that, it really wasn't going to work. So we went from that to, I know Katana would come down and ask Tyler, well, where's mom? And it's only 9:30. Normally I'm not in bed till 1 or 2. And it's 9:30. She's asking where I am. And Tyler's like, she's back in bed, So huge differences. Waking up in the morning without an alarm clock or before the alarm clock goes off. I've never experienced that before. But the anxiety that I had, it was a little bit different because there was this immense tension. I called it ping-ponging in my head, and I didn't know where that was coming from. But it occurred after the accident, so I knew that it had to do with that. But the racing thoughts were all in that, and it just absorbed so much energy from me with that happening. And I think it was in the middle of just some of the first sessions that I felt a difference. And then that night, no racing thoughts while I'm trying to go to sleep. And then my husband was laughing at me because I still had a little trouble going to sleep, because I was so happy that I didn't have any racing thoughts, that I'm laying there going, this is so peaceful,
I love it.
Didn't take nearly as long, but I didn't care, because now it's so peaceful and quiet in my head, which sounds really weird to say, especially on the radio. Am I answering?
Yes, it's beautiful, because those are the stories, even without the extreme trauma, that we hear every day. And can I share also, Tyler shared with me, before the show, a beautiful example of the change that's come with your social activity and your confidence. And you said that you went to a family get-together. Will you share that?
Well, before the accident, I loved being around people, and after the accident, I just didn't. That's just the bottom line. And after Brain Life, which it almost wasn't an angle I was anticipating to happen, at my dad's 50th birthday party, I had an amazing time with my family. I talked to so many different people. It's pretty much the only family event I actually like to remember, because so much of my life has been filled up with me going to family events and then going outside and going for a walk, because I'd rather be alone. And just to have that's the only event so far since the Brain Life program that's happened in my life, and I completely hit it off with everyone.
So you shared with me also that you have a heart for working with youth. Now that would take a lot of confidence and a lot of people skills, but you also shared that before the accident you really were an extrovert.
Yeah, I think I had forgotten that because of what the accident did to me. I chose not to talk. I chose to be alone, and generally that's what introverts are. So I thought I was an introvert for all of growing up through my teen years. But now at college, I have 20, 30, 40 friends that I see every single day. And if you approach them, they'll be open with you, all the basics. It's crazy because I didn't even have to think about doing it. I just did it. I did it naturally. My brain knew what to do after it was fixed.
When did it become clear to you, Tyler, that you were in fact an extrovert all along, but you had been an introvert for those years?
So when I knew was when we were discussing it in class a couple weeks ago, and I said that I was an introvert, and literally everyone in class said that I was a liar. And I had already been feeling like, okay, well, maybe I am kind of an extrovert, maybe I'm both, but they wouldn't even accept the idea of me being an introvert. So I much prefer being able to lead people as an extrovert.
What would you say to somebody who's a little nervous about, boy, I'm thinking about it, but this seems crazy. Technology, I don't know. What would you say to somebody like that?
Well, I would say that definitely it's about being broken, and everyone is inescapably broken. We cannot be perfectly healed from brokenness. We can only what's the word I'm looking for? Heal ourselves, essentially. We're just broken and less broken. That's what we are as a community, as a world, as a society. So to acknowledge that everyone has their weaknesses and everyone has their brokenness, this was the answer to me. Brain Life was the answer to me. I wouldn't have been able to go to college. I wouldn't have been able to have the passion to write all the books that I want to write and speak and all of these amazing places. This has given me passion. This has given me focus, the ability to be a man. Like I'm no longer a child. I am a man. I am a man that is a man.
Thank you, Lord.
It's where I belong. So to anyone who is questioning this program, please don't. Please just go for it. It does pay off.
Wow, and I can definitely say everything he just said is true. And I have a big smile and my heart is rejoicing. And I, want to speak to the moms, the parents out there that, have these kids where you've been struggling and you've given so much and it is so hard and it seems like there aren't answers and there's just no way, and what you have in the status is just going to stay the status quo. It's not true. And this is one of those things that can have such an amazing impact. So please don't wait. Please come in, at least come in for the assessment and see what they have to say, see what it's going to reveal, and then go from there.
So don't wait. I can't tell you how many people, I work with people in their 50s and 60s that wish they could have done this in their 20s. And so certainly, if you have family members, if you have friends, give us a call, set this thing up. It's very easy to do. It's 248-922-9490, and we have people waiting to take your call and guide you through the process of just setting up that initial assessment. We make it very easy for you.
Guys, this has been an incredible conversation. I can't tell you what an honor it was to have you on this show today, sharing your heart, sharing your story. Unbelievable stuff. I'll be praying for you. I wish you nothing but success. You don't even need that because I can tell just amazing things are coming. Brain Life is always doing terrific work, guys. These folks, Dave and Julie, are for real. They've been doing this and helping people in these stories for years. So please get involved. You can call them right now, 248-922-9490. Brain Life Center in Auburn Hills, the beautiful city of Auburn Hills. Thanks, everybody. Great show. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Mac.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
WMUZ 103.5 The Light, Detroit made, Bible strong.
Thanks to Julie Lamphere and Dave Sanders from Brain Life Center. Experience calmness and peace, better quality sleep, improved focus and concentration. that can help you get more things done. Make your appointment with them today. Go to WMUZ.com/Home and Health Show for contact information.